Seattle Sucks, podcast about hating the city we love. It's the tagline, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Greg's just looking at me waiting for me to fuck up or something. So I'm Colin, hi, and I'm joined with Greg and a special guest.
Hey, yeah, I am Greg. I'm holding a chip with salsa on it, realizing that I'm actually talking right now.
Just eat it. I mean...
So, we're joined with our new friend, Justin Williams. I heard him on Street Fight the other day, and I was intrigued because he seemed like a cool dude, and he lives in the same town. Actually lives like less than a mile from where we are on my boat right now. And he used to work at Amazon. He's now like an embarrassed aristocrat. Like in the French Revolution, there were members of the Second Estate who, you know, held their noble title, but like hadn't had any money for generations, you know, and just like they're now. So, what was it like to be rich and now just be a fucking schlub like the rest of us?
Wow. Hi, everyone. My name's Justin. What was it like to be rich? Let's see. Some of the fun things I did when I was rich. I made a small dent in my student loans.
Oh, nice.
Tiny dent. I bought a modest vehicle. I bought a Subaru.
Wow. Extravagant.
Yeah, I put all of my bills on auto pay.
That's rad.
That I did.
I can get behind that.
I did put all of my bills on auto pay. They're all off auto pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been unemployed for like a lot of months, like I have. And the other similarity there is one of the other reasons that I wanted to hang out with you was that we don't do similar things for a living.
Not at all.
We don't do a career that is similar, meaning that we do have similar skill sets and have done things that are similar, but generally speaking, don't do them.
Yeah.
Because no one wants to pay us to do those things.
No.
The difference being you were in-house at a mega corporation,
mm-hmm.
and I, for a decade, have been here and in LA working in media, in film and television production. Like literally everyone on the crew level in this business, or so I thought, as a freelancer. Often that's for like 3 days at a time. Sometimes, you know, in LA it could be like on a TV show, could be like for 4 months at a time or something. You were producing on a team at Amazon that did that a little differently, and that really intrigued me. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So to back up a little bit, when I first got to Seattle in 2006, and how production was really working with those companies, especially Microsoft at the time, is they're partnered through an agency, or agencies still did a lot of the creative work.
Yeah.
This you know, going the Mad Men, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, still doing that. But without the hitting of the women, because it was 2006.
That we know of.
They did that. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Honestly.
Probably not the drinking at lunch, because in 2006 we're talking dweebs.
Yeah.
Real dweebs.
Yeah.
Not cool madmen.
No.
Dweebs. But go on.
Yeah, and that's when I started in this industry and worked for a lot of really small studios that all went under. And the agencies would be, you know, no longer in Seattle. If they were in Seattle, like the few would take it all, and the studios really didn't have work, and kind of created that whole environment. And when I was brought into Amazon, it was from somebody I knew at one of those smaller studios. And what intrigued me was that he told me, we're going to try something different. We're going to try something that we think would work better.
Yeah.
And I heard that out, and we really strived to build that then. So, and that idea is, with Amazon, with all of its might, with all these companies with all their might, they can pay everybody, and I mentioned this on Street Fight, let's just make it just known, they can pay everybody from the warehouse up what I got paid, what everybody got paid.
Yeah,
they can pay us more than
absolutely,
that.
Yeah.
They 100% can do that. And we started from the standpoint of, look, we can build, there's enough people in this town, we can build a team inside that we no longer need to worry about staffing, we don't need to worry about anything. Let's build a little mini studio inside of the company.
Yeah.
Let's put everyone on salary. We're going to hire editors. We're going to hire
Unreal
shooters. We're going to hire producers. We're going to have all this here. We don't need to farm out expensive creative, because we also know how to pick people that at least we can together build something.
Yeah.
Right? So if you don't have that that one quote unquote, creative mind, you put 6 together. The idea that you overpay for these things just made no sense. On top of that, it made no sense that at Amazon and the other studios, Amazon paid those studios to make those things. So Amazon paid Amazon for Amazon to make something for Amazon.
Yeah.
And they counted it as profit, which is weird because you moved money in a basement. That's all you did. And we really existed on the, how about we not charge anyone? We have our bottom line costs for sure. Our gear, they bought us great cameras, everything we needed. We got everything we wanted on our wish list. And let's work against that versus what we save.
Yeah.
And our first full year doing that, we saved $7 million for the company.
Yeah.
Just not farming that out.
Which I don't give a fuck about that.
Yeah.
Whatever. But you did that while employing a bunch of people full time.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, you had at least one grip on salary. I mean, that's like, to me, that's making my head spin because that's the way that the old studio, I mean, we're going to get into some like dumb movie shit here briefly, but like, this is the way the old studio system worked until like the 70s when it all fell apart, where you, like a normal company, you would have a bunch of people who made your shit, like a factory, on salary, and they would be assigned to different things. You'd have different projects, but you were cranking them out. The old studios, which are the names of which are still like the names of the big media companies. If you were a set lighting technician or a grip at, Warner Brothers, you'd be, they're making this movie this month here. They're probably making 4 others. When one ended, you'd go over to another one, or another one would be starting up in between. The 3 days in between, maybe, you'd be doing like shop, where you'd be cleaning up your shop, doing maintenance on your equipment. You had a salary, and you worked like a fucking job, But now, the entire industry, worldwide, for the most part, with some exceptions of different kinds of content, is everyone who works on the set is freelance, And for a commercial, that means they're hiring, they've got, like a creative agency maybe has a few people on staff, the creative types and some administration, but then they hire a production company that is maybe like a director and a producer, and then they hire a crew of 80 people for 3 days to shoot this thing. Some of those people to plan work 6 days out of it. A few, like 2 or 3, work 2 weeks out of it to plan and then wrap out more. But like, that's it. And then they're like, that's it. We have those costs. Now, the rates they make in those days aren't terrible sometimes because it's not like a salary job. You couldn't get someone with a skill set. You couldn't maintain that skill set without paying like a grip on a, commercial for 1 day. The standard is something in the neighborhood, like union would be $5.50 for 10, for 10 hours. That's a lot of money, but when you think about the fact that they're not readily employed, ultimately, it's not enough money.
Exactly.
Unless you happen to be in a moment in time, in a place in your own career, with the connections you got, you're at the top of people's list, you can be making all this money. Or if you're in a town that has TV production like LA or like Atlanta or, Portland has a couple of shows. New York, you can get on a show and it's like you've made it when, holy shit, I've been hired as a staff crew member for the next 5 months. And if I'm really lucky, this show goes another season and then I have another 5 months the next year.
Yeah.
And if you get in a really good place, you've got like a 7-month show that then you make so much money at because they just work you so fucking horribly in TV. 16-hour days for 7 months where you're working like 75-hour weeks.
Yeah, that's rough. That
you make so much OT at a union rate, like crazy fucking OT, that you're like, wow, I barely actually have to work for the next. That can happen, but that's some people are having that, or have that for a few years till they burn out, till they're like 3 marriages down the line, and like,
hey, I've been married a bunch. Easy.
But so I have like real like heavy chips on my shoulder about this fucking stupid non-career that I don't have. So I've, along with chips on my shoulder, I've harbored like stupid fantasies about like, how I would do it, and good on you guys for trying to like actually treat people like employees, know.
And we had the work that sustained it.
Yeah.
We had 6 producers. I was just one of, so there's six people doing this job, and the lowest amount of projects I had, so they were anywhere from pre to post in the scope at one time, but the lowest I had was 15.
Yeah.
we average 17 to 25 a time for each of us. So of course we can keep the UGG gaffer busy.
Yeah.
You know, they're constantly running around. There's constantly stuff to do, and just as much as I will echo that same sentiment. I give zero shits about how much money we saved. That $7 million mark. But I throw that out there because my reasoning of throwing that out there, we saved even more the next year, is that we cost less than that. And that's the point. And that's why this can exist. We didn't cost $7 million a year. We cost so much less than that.
Yeah.
So the idea, you know, and why we got that stake through our heart was because we didn't, quote unquote, generate revenue.
Yeah.
But again, what were we supposed to do? Charge the same company we work for money to create revenue when we always saw it as what we saved is our revenue.
Right, which is all just accounting bullshit. But I think the point really is you were doing a, like, mid-century model in the 21st century hell world that we live in that no one really was like, this doesn't sound like what I learned in business school. And and I know I'm looking around and other people don't have a grip on staff on salary. They lay that person off constantly. I'm laid off like 75 times a year, you know? And then I work for companies that are like, when I do work, are just bidding each other down. Every job I do get now, it's always like, oh, this one's really low budget, so can you take a break on the rate, you know? And it's like, you said that the last 8 times. And so...
But yet in our industry, we're the grifter because we say, what's your budget? And every client will always think, what are you trying to milk out of me?
Yeah,
I'm like, no, because... that will literally translate to what this looks like.
Yeah.
I'm asking you what your budget is because if you have $1 million to throw to this, we're going to spend $1 million making it look good. Not because I'm going to line my pocket with $1 million.
Well, I'll tell you something else, though. A lot of people, especially like old-timers in the business, will have like a line of complaint that's like, man, this shit is bullshit. Every one of these jobs, there was not enough people in my department and everyone else, and it's just not a professional way to work. It's making the product worse. And I actually look at them and I go, no, it isn't. It doesn't take that many people. They're looking at this way they were trained like in the dying old system when they were like came up in the 90s. They came up in this system that was like skeleton of the system from the mid-century. It was really already like on its last legs. And you know what? It doesn't take 3 assistant directors. God, I mean, my life would be very different if it did. 7 electrics and 7 grips. A fucking prop master, a prop. Yeah, you know. And a focus puller, a second AC, and a loader for every camera, you know. The thing is, it doesn't take that. One reason is because the technology, automation in every single department has made things very different. I mean, the big transformation that's happening now is in lighting. Like, the LED technology is finally, like, really here on, like, a big industrial level.
It's great.
That's, like... But I was just talking to a guy the other day, is like, he's hanging up just a 4-foot tube of light that is controlled by an iPad that can do anything at an incredible histogram.
Anything.
Like, with a super broad, like, frequency range. Like, and I'm like, so this but he's the one guy.
Yeah.
He's one guy hanging it up with monofill because it weighs nothing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, so this just killed your job.
Yeah.
That's part of it, but the other part is, it never took that many people.
No. It was bloated.
It was bloated because it was demanded by union power. Those things they're looking for, the professionalism, the dignity of the job, the working like a human being where you're not busting your ass like physically every minute on stress and just physically to cram this shit into too short of a schedule, and where you have a key and an assistant, and you have an army of people below, and everyone has a task, and everyone does it and waits, and you just sit back, you wait till it's done, then you do it correctly. It never had to exist. That was because the unions were extremely powerful in the industry when it was all concentrated in one town, and it was industrially unionized top to bottom, and they demanded those kind of working conditions and pay that went along with it. But today, between the rising technology, also the collapse of aesthetic for the most part, because not everyone's looking for cinema, a lot of content is fine if it looks like it was shot on an iPhone.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't, you know, that's 90% of what anyone's looking for. And you add to that the fact that the unions have no power, particularly in this town, but less and less everywhere. That's the real story, is like, these things are not like set in stone. They're demanded by workers of capital to say, you want to generate this content, we're going to do it like a dignified craft.
Yeah.
And
to be respected.
Yeah, and come to work every day
not over respected, just respected.
Yeah.
As people.
Have autonomy in our work,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something that, part of me knows what happened and why we failed, but another part of me also just thinks that maybe it was, someone looked at us and went, no one deserves to do that for a living, like a full living.
Yeah, right,
They were almost like, fuck these guys.
Yeah.
Like, just, no, that's, We don't like that. We don't like that this is what they're doing. Living, making a living wage, working extremely hard. You cannot tell me that, with your production background, that you can't even just imagine that we didn't work hard.
Yeah.
Of course we worked hard. We did everything that they paid us to do, and we did it with that production side of that I think most people in production have, which is you sweat. You're going to be on set for 16 hours when you are. We weren't the type of team where, the producer, the director leaves afterwards. No, we all tear down. We're all in this. So many of us felt like we made it. Not that we made it in a company like Amazon, but the fact that we made it somewhere that this job could be done that way.
I mean, look, I've had that fantasy, man.
And
for years.
But even then, they found it, they squashed it.
Yeah.
It's like they had to stamp it out.
Capital will sniff shit like that out, man.
I still believe it's the way to go, though.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with that old model except for it grew too bloated. Yeah. And if you scale that back, it can happen again. And if there's any billionaires listening, you can still use it to line your own pockets if you want to be greedy that way, and do it this way instead of everyone in this town in production. I feel is more pitted against one another.
Yeah.
Than they feel like they're on just even on the same team.
Yeah.
There's this instant thing that makes them want to go, well, what I do what you do, and I probably do it better. Fuck that. It's so ridiculous.
The professional jealousy, even among friends. Yeah. I mean, among friends, there is this ultimate, inevitable professional jealousy. So, my career is just dog shit. Even though I have, an extremely developed skill set. So, but it's like a joke. I tell this joke all the time, but it's, serious. My best friend of, 28 years... I got him into this business shortly after I was in. But then, like an asshole, I fucked off to LA to we're gonna do movies and shit. He stayed here and came up on the production side, and now I beg him for work, for scraps, because he's PMing up here, and I beg him for work now. But I know lots of other stuff. It's like everyone. And the second anyone figures out an angle, also, I mean, the worst thing is, you see, people come out of nowhere, young people who, have, a swagger to them and, figure out a way to, shoehorn themselves in with some people and start working. And you can't help but go, fuck those. They're taking fucking food out of my mouth. And it's you can't even be happy for them. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm going to use a shitty form of commercial social media to prove this point. But so my LinkedIn, we all have to have a LinkedIn. You want work, it's got to be at least a point.
Wait, is that my problem that I don't have a LinkedIn?
So I'd done this for 10 years in Seattle before I got to Amazon. I had 200 connections, and no one ever blew me up. No one ever was either wanted to know what I was doing, or more importantly, what I could do for them. In the 2.5 years that I was at Amazon, I'm at nearly 2,000 connections, and we could do an entire episode of just me going through and reading messages I never replied to because I didn't even know how to reply to, that was just people, either some of them I knew that had fallen off the face of the earth till they found out, or just people who are hey, I want what you have, tell me how to get it.
Yeah.
And what do you even say? I truly want all of us to have that. I really do believe that. I'm not an asshole in that regard where I say this shit and at least don't try to go live it. I fuck up. But I do try to live that. I want us all to have it. I don't know how we all have this because these companies don't want to build this. I mean, even what we built got killed before another company could even say, hey, maybe there's something to this.
Yeah.
But the jealousy, for sure. That's definitely, it's all part of it. And if you've ever, dealt with anybody just north of the border and their production community, and I don't know, I don't want to make any glib, Canadian remarks here about them just being polite, but it's a fucking community up there.
Yeah.
Their film industry is an actual community.
Yeah.
These people understand that most basic of principle. We all do better when we all do better. I'm sure they have assholes. Of course they do. They have to.
I will tell you, it is different in any town. It's different between Seattle and Portland even. Because Portland has the TV shows, it's actually the same combined IATSE local, 488, for the entire Pacific Northwest. The whole scene is different there because they even just have, 4, small TV shows. That gets those 4 crews worth of people union wages with union contracts for, 5 months of the year. And that gives them this understanding and this solidarity and this unwillingness to take shit from companies. So, you can't call... When you have most of the people in that business being regularly exposed to, working on a union contract... You can't call those people up and go, hey, will you work for half your union rate on my non-signatory commercial? They'll just, hang up on you. But up here, it's just so small. Everyone's working off the card, which is allowed in 488 because there's no other way. Which, I mean, that's a glib way to put it, but that's all there is here. So it's just a very different scene, and certainly very different from Vancouver. Anyway, we want to hear more Dish on Amazon from the inside now that you're never, ever, ever, ever going to work there again. Or maybe anywhere for that matter.
Yeah. I do want to throw out, I have about 13 applications for different recs at Amazon open right now. So, as long as you two both say the words allegedly before, then we're good. No, would I go back? Yes, but would I be the same person I was the first time? Absolutely. And that was somebody that I got to be honest. For as much as I thought that I didn't jive with the culture, and I didn't. I was definitely kicked out of things, and I definitely day one orientation. They said, please don't talk about what you make.
Wait. Do you mean? Your orientation on the first day, or the orientation for the day one mindset? Because we know all about that here.
Yeah. There's also a building called Day One. So, yeah, it's their biggest one. Yeah, it's actual Jeff's building.
Good for him.
Yeah. So on my very first day orientation, I'm not going to call it Day One. It was my first day. They made a big deal. There was 3,000 of us, and by the way, 3,000 people go through orientation at Amazon every Monday. So that's why your rent's so expensive. Yeah. That's 3,000 people every Monday. I can't say that enough. I'm looking right at the microphone. 3,000 people every Monday. Anyway, my session, they break you off into groups of a couple hundred, and they said, just remember, we highly discourage you from sharing your wages and your salary with anybody else.
Weird.
And that would be and she was ready to move on, but some asshole had their hand raised, and it was me. And I said, but we still can though, right? Because we are federally protected to do so. That's how you don't, pay somebody else less or pay somebody based on gender, race, whatever. If we're all open about this, you can't fuck us that way. That we're federally protected. To where she very quietly. She's wearing literally she's wearing a lav. She's wearing a lav mic. You can't whisper and have a lav mic. She's like, yes, you can. Technically, this gentleman is right. But we highly discourage, and then the volume came right back, we highly discourage that you do. So from day one, if you will, that was my standpoint, was that I still didn't look at it as I had made it. Maybe I didn't know what I had. Maybe I'm the idiot looking back. But the idea that if you see something wrong within organizations, if I'm fired for saying it, so be it. But I'm at least going to make sure that, we're establishing these bounds.
Yeah, there's a whole conspiratorial scenario here where, you could take that your bad attitude was ultimately what killed your whole team, and if I was your girlfriend, that is what I would think.
That's just
I wanted to give ample time for that laugh to just be picked up. And I gave that. Sorry. When you put two creatives next to each other on a couch, we're also getting that angle's gonna come. I'm just gonna let this laugh play, and just play. Absolutely. And I would agree with you if it weren't for the fact that they would have just happily destroyed my life.
Yeah.
But not 13 others.
Yeah.
Including one who, poor guy. Neil, if you're listening, I love you. We poached from GoPro in San Francisco. Yeah. Moved his whole life to Seattle.
You monster.
2 months. 2 months is when this whole thing happened, and he was one of the people that Jesus. You just take him. You just take him from a job. He's like an outdoorsy adventure guy. I'm sure GoPro was great.
That was part of your pitch, no doubt.
But it wasn't my pitch. Luckily, I was involved in some hiring of some other people, but not Neil. Love you, Neil. Lives in Ballard, great guy. He's got a great dog. Follow his dog's Instagram. I was paid to say that. I'm so hungry. Anyway, it's this idea of just understanding that you're going to see some gross shit at work. You don't have to be quiet about it. I don't think they're going to fire you, especially because I was so vocal.
Yeah.
That I feel almost creates another rumor. Something I told you about the other night. I had to sit at my desk and stare at quotes from people that maybe at one point in their lives weren't absolute fucking monsters, but maybe something came out about them and they became absolute fucking monsters. And I had to stare at two quotes of them. It was Jerry Seinfeld and Samantha Bee. One went over, trained with the IDF, and taught his 9-year-old son how to shoot Arabs. And the other spent a lot of money with her husband to keep black kids out of their school.
Yeah.
So these are two absolute just monsters in their personal lives, but have a public persona. And I just stare at quotes of them. I asked for them to be removed once a week. I just would submit a ticket and say, can I not look at the words of these two assholes? Like, that's all I want. Like, if I'm already here, do I have to look at this? Like, those kinds of things. I was loud enough about this shit to where I feel like if that were the reason, and my girlfriend could blame me for that, it's gonna be known. Like, of course, you fired the most vocal person here.
Yeah. So, well, tell us about question time with Jeff.
Question time. So there was a couple chances you had where you could go and ask questions, and all questions were submitted beforehand, obviously, just like debates.
Yeah.
You can't just let anyone get to a microphone. But you can run to the microphone, is what I learned. Because then you're putting the pressure on them. Anyone who goes to a debate, just cut in line and run to the microphone, because someone will be filming you being forcibly removed before you ever had a question. The audience will not have context.
Yeah.
They will just see somebody drug away for no absolute reason. So if you're sick of these questions and debates, just bum rush a microphone. It's fine. Time it right when no one's looking. Mm-hmm. And I asked one time. I got to ask Jeff. It's the only time I've ever been within so odd feet of him. He does work in a full panic room floor. So I asked him. I really wanted to know why. At that time, the Washington Post had just run their 11th, full-on 11th hit piece on single payer, but yet they had, and we're talking in 4 months. They've written 11 things about God. It's so expensive, you guys.
Yeah.
The cost. Yeah. But at the same time, the Washington Post, so before he owned it and after, hadn't run the total cost of the war on terror since 2001. Not one time is that number, which is over $5 trillion. That number's never even been printed. They've just shied away from that number. So my only question was why that? If cost is our, and that's when I was drug away. So not while I bum rushed the microphone and got my question in there, to the point where I was actually barred from when Eric Holder came. I scanned my badge to get into that room and I was denied.
Did the smile turn upside down?
They just knew. They were like, don't. this guy's going to ask about the NDAA or some shit, and we just want Eric Holder to talk about how he's helping make Amazon better for its customers. And I'm going to ask about drone strikes, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be a real elaborate plot to just get rid of me for this kind of shit.
Right.
Yeah.
To, you know, to really take down the whole team, and by the way, change the whole way that team even does business. Like, they don't even, they charge back now, is my point. Like, our old model is dead to the point where... So I guess if Amazon gets kudos for anything, it's they let me kind of ish do that. Maybe I was just their token activist. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what, but I didn't get a lot of pushback on that. I never was talked to about that. I had a whole fight with an executive about our benefits, because I realized that our 401k was going into a lot of the things most 401ks go into, which is wars, weapons, defense contractors, things like that, and I wanted to pull back out. And so, I mean, I had battles, you know, principled battles all the time. I was never pulled aside and talked to about that.
The impression we get is that Amazon feels it's sort of above that kind of stuff. The sort of, they want to think of themselves as above and beyond politics. And they're probably not wrong, but you're not really... What's that?
I had that Jay Carney email to prove that they're not.
Oh, yeah, wait, remind me what that?
Yeah, so I have an email, maybe posted on your Twitter. I'm happy to give that out, now that I've removed the digital watermark. So my name's on this. It was Jay Carney, so worked for Obama, and came to work for Amazon, sent an email to all employees encouraging us to give to Amazon's political PAC. Which, by the way, they emphasize the fact that they support candidates on both sides that just make sure our customer experience is as good as it can be.
Well, you got to delight those customers.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about. No,
I read that email, and it was like he mentions 3 times, like, you know, that just policies that are good for the customer experience.
Customer experience. They got to have a good customer experience.
That's the neoliberal rubric. Oh, yeah, you know, is consumerism.
Yeah, and I would say that, and I believe even beyond, like, you know, that the neoliberal economics, Jeff is definitely 100% libertarian. You know, I really believe he feels he did this.
Yeah, he did. Definitely.
He did this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I made this.
Yeah, well,
you know, it's that idea that I made this, regardless of his $5 million government subsidy from the literal day one.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what day one really refers to. It's like an inside joke for him. That day one where he started with $5 million.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Gotta have you tell us about this story. I guess it's a secondhand story, but from a
secondhand story
development. Some charity development person told you.
Yeah.
That you know.
I worked for this charity. It's going to go unnamed. I gotta help the charities. I worked for this charity on contract back in 2013, so well before the Amazon days. Mm-hmm. And one of their donations callers, so but dealt with the high volume donors, so in the large volume donors. So the Balmers and the, you know, lots of these people.
Yeah.
Given just a couple million here, a couple million there, which is probably less than 1%. Always reached out to Bezos and his people. I mean, Smile didn't even exist until like 2016.
Yeah.
You know, Amazon and Bezos were just a no charity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Back in 2013, told me over lunch when I asked if Bezos ever gave, literally said, every time I reach out, I am told the same thing over and over and over again, and that is that Amazon is his gift.
Jesus, that's chilling.
That's fucking.
That is
that's
insane.
So awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah. But I'm looking at both of you right now. Don't you get it? That is his gift. He's you're welcome. He's done.
We're building a better world.
I guess we know who John Galt is.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, Amazon is my gift. I mean, that was the belief, and it wasn't until, I think, just absolutely hammered worldwide at a certain point on, come on, man, fucking charity. Do something. Even though we give the same way Gates does, fake charities, whatever.
Right.
Put it into a fund that makes you more money than you had from the get-go. But, like, do something. At least symbolism, do something. Like, do something as fake as it could be. At least try. And, it wasn't until well after that. But that was the old belief. I'm done, you guys. I've given the world the best thing I can give it.
Yeah, I'm sure he still thinks that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he has revolutionized consumer delight. Okay? Like, what more do you want? So,
I will never be invited
okay, the
back.
last thing we want to talk to you about is, about, like, from your story specifically, is just the inside take on the whole Miss Amazon pageant. The HQ2 Bonanza bum fight.
Fight. It was a bum fight.
Basically.
However crazy it got out in the streets, it was even crazier inside those buildings. The speculation, the actual, like, I know people whose lives were negatively affected because of how positively they ate the bullshit.
That's
and
so
that is
cool.
in actually purchased real estate in, like, speculative cities. You know, for the longest time, I even told people.
Well, the capital class can do that. They have money they can afford to lose. All right. You know what?
Yeah. I mean, and I gotta be honest. I would have gotten there too had I not been fired. I shouldn't say fired. I wasn't fired. But anyway, had my role not been eliminated 2 months before I vested.
Yeah.
You know, then I could have maybe done some fun stuff. But see, they give you an offer letter where they promise you 3-tiered things. But if you don't make that time, one of those tiers, the most lucrative, is the one that disappears completely. But anyway, I see what you're saying. There's lots of people there who have been there long enough to vest multiple times.
Right, yeah.
And these are the people who you're like, how at a company with a salary cap are you driving an Aston Martin?
Yeah.
It's stock vesting, you know, and unlimited bonus. Like, stocks are unlimited and the bonuses are unlimited. Salary is capped. At a very, very high, you know, like livable, like low compared to Google, but high compared to what a human needs to live.
Yeah. Except in this town.
Yeah. But yeah, no, inside, man, I mean, first of all, if no one does know this, everyone should know this. Most of the press that came out of that was just literal rewording, like, or shouldn't even say wording, literal word for word Amazon press releases on what HQ2 was going to be is what got put out there. So nobody did their jobs to ever even scrutinize, you know, like on a large scale, that this was maybe pernicious in any way, or maybe this is garbage and they're like making this is a bum fight. Yeah. They just want to see what you're willing to give up in order to get this idea of an HQ2.
Yeah.
And people inside ate it up. I mean, I mean, in the regurgitation, it's the first time in my life I don't do the whole zombie thing. I don't even watch zombie stuff. I think I don't get it. Like the dead reanimating, like death is the one thing we're promised. Can we not ruin that? You know, like with the idea that I have to somehow come back and eat a brain. I don't want it. Fuck that. Anyway, so I'm anti-zombie, but I felt like I was surrounded by zombies. I mean, they were just regurgitating this shit over and over again. And like I said, to the point where I know people that actually bought real estate in cities, which, by the way, when they announced that no one won, which I don't know how widely this is covered, but DC and New York, right? So Seattle's where headquarters is. Anywhere on the globe, the second biggest city they had a presence in was Luxembourg. Very generous tax things going on in Luxembourg. That's the second biggest.
Huh.
In the U.S., the third and fourth biggest were D.C. and New York.
Yeah.
Weird. You picked, we're going to split HQ2 between the two cities we already have over 20,000 people in.
Yeah.
So you're going to rate around double, like, what you have. So even that was disingenuous.
Yeah.
Because if you're not outing that these are the two biggest footprints outside of Seattle that you have in the country, it's going to sound like they still won a weird lottery when they didn't.
Yeah.
And very misleading about that. And as long as you worked there, like, my team didn't just service Amazon Seattle. We went to these places.
Yeah.
If you have a massive campus already in the greater DC area, you're not doing much by adding more employees to it. But yeah, it to me it always kind of rang like a bum fight, and more than that, I like to say it's a mobster move, because it is the ultimate way to like put a horse head in a bed for the city of Seattle. Then say Chicago will give us fucking this. The whole state of North Carolina promised something. The whole state, not even a city, the whole fucking state promised something. And I think this is just leverage that they had. It's one of those things, not to go, on a completely different topic, but if we just abolished states. Anyway, not saying I'm for that, but I'm just saying you couldn't bully another one by threatening to go somewhere else. And it's one of those things where I think that was just ultimately a giant dick swing on their behalf. Yeah. Of just saying, look what we'll get.
But what I'm interested in is, like, were people... So you think, like... Or, like, at what level of people were buying, like, real estate in places that weren't even... Were people in Amazon buying real estate in places that weren't even New York or D.C.?
Yeah.
Like, Atlanta, okay.
Atlanta. Yeah. Okay. No, that's the exact city.
Yeah. So I've hung out with some, like, at bars, some friends of friends who are Amazon people, because, like, that's, like, so many fucking people. And I remember, like... that they would just get into that conversation, like, very confidently going, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be whatever, and I think, I'm thinking maybe I'll take a thing out there, and, like, if I had the money, I'd buy it, And Atlanta came up a lot as people were very confident, only because there was a media narrative that had fixated on that,
and then you look, it's like, say, like, once that media narrative's there, you start overstretching, right? So, I get it. You do have tech schools. A lot of tech schools in that area. Yeah. So I do get, like, but that's something that no one said. People just started creating the narrative. Yeah. You have it out there, Atlanta could be really hot. And then it's speculation past that. So even media speculating, well, the SEC, all those schools are so tech heavy. This would be a great spot for them to be. Now what will you give us? And I know 3. So I was an L5. That's the highest I ever climbed. My boss was a 6. His boss was a 7. 7s and up, I know 3 7s personally, like, as in knew them. They're not, like, friends. But, like, personally knew them, chatted with them, that bought property in Atlanta.
That fucking owns.
The L7 are they're the ones that can, like, astral project or whatever? Is that...
Listen. The only one that matters is Xenu.
And, of course.
So, Amazon delivers their packages in spaceships that look a lot like DC-8s.
Oh.
Anyway, so I went on a Scientology joke there that went way too long.
That is so fucking cool.
And I can tell you, and I'm not, here's where math comes in, and I will never do math on purpose, and that is that their salary cap is $160,000 a year. That's like the cap at Amazon. I received an L4 offer. I know what that looks like. I received an L5 offer. I know that jump. And I can assume that it's an equal jump from 5 to the 7.
Right.
And I know that at a 5, although I was able to put all of my bills on autopay, and finally, like, I literally spent 2.5 years never worrying about money.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like I had a bit. I still couldn't buy a house. That's with me and my girlfriend both working. Like, still can't afford to buy a house.
Not this town.
Yeah, you got loans. You have other things you have to pay off. Mm-hmm. I never got to vest. That was like the vestment dream, right? That's the house, because at least that's the down payment.
Yeah. That
doesn't make the house payment more than your fucking rent.
Yeah.
So I never got to that point, but I could tell you that if the increase from a 5 to a 7 is anywhere near what it was from a 4 or from a 5 from a 4 to a 5, I might have bought a fucking warehouse in Atlanta and been like, can I turn this into trendy fucking hipster garbage lofts? I don't know. Like, and yes, it is funny on them because you get to the point where you get to, like, play around in another city's speculative real estate. That's honestly when I start coming for your metaphorical head.
Yeah.
That's actually my point. Like that is my tipping point. We should all be able to put our bills on auto pay.
Yeah.
No one should be able to speculatively buy property in other spots.
Well
I don't know if that's weird, but that's when I come for your metaphorical head.
Yeah, no, very well said. Yeah, no, and that is like, yeah, everybody should be, like, you were getting paid what, like, a human's time is worth, you know? Maybe not even that, compared to, what that buys in this town. And everyone else is making what, like, a lump of dog shit's time is worth. I mean,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Everyone should be able to live.
Yeah.
Once you start buying speculative real estate, you're controlling how other people live.
Once you have,
I know it's a low cutoff. I'm sorry if I have a low
look,
threshold,
not at all.
but like that is my threshold.
We're talking about capital here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People who have enough money that they can afford to invest it, which means meaning they can afford to lose it. And they don't need to exist. We don't need them.
Yeah.
There's no positive purpose for them in our society. Let's talk about how we can better serve capital. Something always on our minds. That would probably pay better than what I do now. I'd cup some billionaire balls for fucking.
Don't do
like,
that.
Well, I mean, you can't not pay your rent, right?
Yeah.
Thing is, you can not pay your mortgage. It's actually like a normal thing. People go for like 8 months at a time and not pay the mortgage fees on their boat to the marina. And then eventually the marina chains your boat to the dock so you can't abscond without paying your bill. And eventually, if you don't pay after that, they'll sell your boat, and as they're legally able to in your contract. But the thing is, yeah, it's kind of almost fucking normal to just not pay. Now, it's different because I'm here every day. Like, I waltz to the showers in my bathrobe with my soap on a rope and walk by the office and wave at the dockmaster, and I'm using their like water and electricity, so it's maybe there's a little more pressure. But another nice thing about living on a boat is like I have not paid rent for March, and it's not this. It's like I could go another 8 months probably. So cool. Anyway, so
have you thought about developing an Amazon and claiming it's your gift?
Yeah. Oh, fuck, why didn't I think about changing the world?
If only any of us would have thought about selling something to somebody else on the biggest thing available to that person to buy something.
Ah, man.
God damn it, we're all dumb.
Fuck me. Oh,
what a
man.
genius.
I guess all I would have needed
That's
was
brilliant.
to have been born rich and then come up on Wall Street.
Have you thought about going to Harvard Business School, but in the past? Have you thought about reversing how you've lived it and then done that instead?
That sounds
Honestly,
like a good idea.
If I could do that, if I had a time machine, I'd tell Harvard Business School to go fuck itself.
100%.
So I'd rather be poor than go to business school anywhere. But listen, we want to hear a story. Tell us about what you've got for us.
Yeah, well, did we...
This has everything we love.
Did we first want to talk about how the homeless can better serve capital?
Oh, shit, okay.
Just a little check-in
man.
with,
So
one of our favorite local startups.
So we...
Speaking of gifts...
In our
by the
first, like, full episode, I think.
Yeah, I think it was.
We'll post it in the link.
Oh, we gotta pause.
Oh, hang on. No, keep going.
Okay.
In our first full episode, we talked about this great little local startup, right? And
Yeah.
they had, they were getting written up in, I don't know, was it the Seattle Times or something?
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah, it might have been the Times. It might have been the Times. I don't really recall now.
Yeah, it was like 8
Puget
months
Sound
ago or something.
Business Journal or something.
But hey, they must be in like another round of investment or something, because they're out on the town getting people to write them up in some
To publish
some
their-
fake journals, something
PR.
called Fast Company, which seems to be like a tech business startup. I don't even want to know what it is, but Fast Company, it sounds perfect for these guys. So we're just gonna give you like an in-depth rundown right on where Samaritan app is now, right? They were doing a 2-year trial, right? Like a study
Yes.
where they passed out their
sweet-
amulets of power
Mm-hmm.
that like ping when a homeless person, like, it pings your phone when a homeless person is nearby so you can flee.
Yeah.
And that gives them, like, a fake script. They can only pay, like, buy things at the company store or under the supervision of the state or something.
Yeah, and cannot be used to buy, I think, alcohol, maybe even cigarettes.
That's like the whole idea. The whole point is so they can't have any fun.
Right. Well, they get cool jewelry.
So, like, let's give, like, a nice long rundown where there. Let's hear all the details.
Okay, so first I want to say that this was filed under world-changing ideas.
Oh, right, it's Fast Company Ideas.
World-changing ideas.
World-changing ideas. We're in the world-changing ideas section of Fast Company.
Listen, I have a question about this company real quick. If they're getting a write-up in this magazine, what is their 0 to 60? Because if you're going to call your shit Fast Company, I want to know real details.
Yeah,
what's the horsepower?
Car
what's our
nerd.
top speed? Sorry, I'm going to shut up. Bad joke, audience.
Yeah, I don't know if they do like a company combine or something. But,
do I need to come back with a more leftist take? If you work at Fast Company, literally go jump in a lake.
Well, I was thinking Fast Company, like, you know, someone who's fast, like you're gonna score, you know. That's what I was.
Like
Making time.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, this app tells you the stories of your homeless neighbors. So this is something, that's the headline.
Oh, right, because they have profiles.
Under world-changing idea. So I guess the world-changing idea is that the homeless are people.
But people mediated by a social, a fake social network where you read their profile and judge them. We don't have to go into all of it. Dude, okay. Our guest, Justin, is raising his hand.
And we know that he's very polite.
And mostly I want to refer him to our earlier episode, which I want to make him listen to, but we'll take your question now, sir.
I already see something horrible in this, and that is that here's the problem with... So I'm not speaking literally now. I'm going to do a character. The problem with the homeless around me is that I don't know their name and can't rat them out easily.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Like, I haven't read this article, and that's immediately where my head went. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're basically it's
putting yourself on a list.
Yeah.
Well, and you're creating a marketplace of homeless people so that we can determine which person gets the most money.
Yeah.
Like who's the most deserving.
Yeah.
The most marketable sob story.
And also if you need to rat them out.
Yeah, right.
Which white people will do all the time.
If the police just need, like, a sonar, like...
Well, you know what? They probably...
like pinging to, like...
They've got geofences in for private property, so when you cross that, it just immediately dispatches to 911, like, trespassing.
Or the Mark II will just, like, circumvent all that and administer an electric shock.
Or it can hear sound, and it's like, public urination. While on a lunch break in downtown Seattle, this is the story, the idea, which if you're a long-time listener, you already know this, but we're going to do this for Justin, and because this is funny, this story is funny, in a dark way. While on a lunch break in downtown Seattle a few years ago, Jonathan Kumar watched as a homeless black man stood at an intersection with a sign saying that he needed medication for diabetes. As drivers passed, no one rolled down a window to offer a donation. No one even acknowledged that he existed, Kumar says. Kumar walked over to the man and asked him about the challenges of trying to raise the money he needed. He said, "I've got the wrong look for this, the wrong skin color, the wrong clothing. Nobody actually believes that I'm homeless." It was at that moment that I realized that this person wasn't just experiencing financial poverty, but relational poverty. He couldn't share his true need in a way that people could quickly understand and perhaps relate to.
Oh my
god. I'm just gobsmacked. I mean...
Kumar, who was on the verge of leaving a tech startup, wondered if technology could help.
No, you dumb fuck. Go back to your dorm room, you idiot.
I think like most people, at least of like a leftist slant, have read No Logo at some point in their life. Naomi Klein's book, No Logo.
Yeah.
She talks in there about how Pepsi a long time ago purchased plans to project their logo onto the moon. They've never done it, but they've owned the rights for like 100 fucking years.
Yeah.
And I always said that the day I kill myself is the day that I walk out my apartment and Pepsi's logo's on the fucking moon. We've accelerated that today, hearing that story. Yeah. I don't want to be here anymore now. That is...
I'm with you, man.
that has accelerated this goal.
Yeah,
because that's fucking crazy. Sorry. Fucking crazy.
Pretty soon we're all going to have advertisements all over our clothing, probably.
But like, that's really selling sponsorships on... Or like, do their profiles that share their stories have ad content? Like,
Not that I see, but it shows a little screenshot, and it says, introducing one of their new vendors, I guess, and it says... I am on disability and I'm not able to work. I was renting a room and ellipsis, so that's all you get. And then it says give $5 or learn Ginger's story. It's like fucking Tinder or something, right? You're like, fuck off. I don't like your story. Yeah. Fuck, I'm not gonna give you $5.
Yeah, suffering, like, it's like the marketability of your suffering.
Totally.
And just commodity.
Yeah.
But let's skip the rest and tell us how their trial's been doing over the last 2 years.
Because the rest is what we've already covered. It just tells us how it works, which is dystopic, as we've covered previously. And so it says, in this pilot, which Greg mentioned lasted 2 years, Samaritan gave out 500 beacons. More than half of the beacon holders reported making monthly visits because of the beacons, and these monthly visits we covered in our previous episode. They have to check in, essentially, with
service
Samaritan,
providers, or social workers or something, you know.
Yeah. And 42 people said that their lives changed because of it. So 42 people is like 8%. And imagine how much money Samaritan has burned just to be created.
Yeah.
I bet you it's millions of dollars. I tried to find them online, but
8% said their lives were changed. That's it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, right. It's not even we don't know for the better.
Yeah.
Changed.
I'm forever touched by Samaritan.
I had 2 legs.
All right. That sucks.
Yeah, same old shit.
And it's really funny. But there must be out looking for more investment. But we'll link to our previous episode where we really go deep on that shit. Okay, now.
Yeah, so
to Forbes.
To Forbes land. We found this from Jenny.
Yeah, Jenny tweeted this because she is quoted heavily in this article in Forbes.
Yeah, so Jenny tweeted, this was a little while ago. This was March 6th, so this is still pretty recently. She says, in Seattle, we are working to ensure that we create a pathway to provide our kids with innovative, good-paying jobs of the future. Forbes writes about how some businesses are working to close the opportunity gap through micro-internships.
Oh, man, there's just so much going on there. Like, it just bodes so... Like, that is just so many evil portents in that. Like...
yeah, a lot of managerial sort of like 30,000-foot phrasing. Too,
yeah.
Like,
oh my god. Alright, I cannot wait to just mainline this shit. This is Jenny Durkin in Forbes. I mean, just like, just lay it on me.
Alright, so the...
none of us voted. She's our mayor.
Why Micro-Internships Will Be the Next Big Thing by Jason Wingard.
I don't know what they are, but they sound like dog shit, so I'm guessing they will be the next big thing.
They might be cool, like micro-brews or micro-phalluses, I don't know. I read about the intersection of...
Microaggressions.
Exactly, all our favorite micros. Micro-machines. I read about the intersection of strategy and leadership development.
Wait a minute. So, like, are you saying those two things, strategy and leadership, are related?
It's intersected, yes.
Wait, so
there's parts that aren't, but there's an intersection.
Did I also hear the words read about?
Who are we? Wait, is this the
author?
This
is the author.
Who is this?
Jason Wingard.
Okay.
And it says leadership strategy, I guess that's his domain. And then under that it says, I write about the
Oh,
intersection.
right about. I thought it was like literally a guy being like, I read about these things. Sorry. Okay.
That would be awesome.
This is his book report.
That's just my drummer ears hearing something funnier.
If
what they
only. Do you want me to read this? Or...
Yes.
Okay. We're going for it.
It sounds horrible so far. So yes, punch me with it. Whip me.
The first three words are Mayor Jenny Durkin.
Woo!
Oh yeah.
Air horn.
Recently announced an expansion of her city's Seattle Promise program, which awards 2 years of free college to selected public school students.
Whoa! Free college? Awesome! Wait, what was the last part of that?
To selected public school students.
Selected. Selected. So, the whiff I'm getting here is the absolute kernel of American liberal democratic meritocracy, which is we are going to reward the best students and push them on as a fulfillment of and evidence of our progress, as Americans and liberals. But how many kids are we talking about here? It might go on to say something.
I listen, as a Subaru owner, as a former Amazonian, all right, let me just say, selected students means exactly that. There's going to be nothing that we don't want to hear coming up. Continue to read.
Yeah.
Later this year, Opportunity Promise, in quotes, will begin arranging paid internships between select Seattle Promise scholars and tech companies like Amazon and Expedia. Oh,
Okay.
good God.
You guys have a knife or something? Like, I'm just coming up.
So Seattle Promise, that's the name of the program?
Yes.
So I did look into this a little earlier. It's a scholarship for free, just 2 years of college, though.
Yeah, but this
But for just like a small, like under 10 kids a year.
And that's what I didn't realize, because this was announced, and actually, I think I even said on the show, this sounds positive.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize it was a fucking lottery, or like a scholarship that not everyone could do.
Yeah, it's just you find the I mean, this is their attitude. This is progress to the lib, to the Lib Dem, is you find the kids who are really, doing well in school, those brightest kids, because if you elevate them, right, they could be the next Einstein, and they, whatever, blah, on and on and on. And then you could be getting, especially if you target this at underserved communities, right, then the kid who's performing from an underserved community and at an underperforming school, well, that's really that's a special
They're
kid.
extra performing. I mean, this is Moneyball.
Exactly. And no, yeah, absolutely is. And that all is great, but it leaves out a lot of the story, which is what the fuck about everybody else?
What everybody else?
So you can identify this. This is the kernel. This is the nut of meritocracy.
Right.
This idea that if we are rewarding the ones who deserve it most based on our professional managerial criteria, which is basically scholastic achievement.
Moneyball, yeah.
Then everything's okay. Everything is equal because opportunity is available to that small upper crust who deserve it, independent of the things, the stressors like economic background and race and whatever other intersectional
or systemic societal issues that make it difficult for you to go to higher education.
So if you go and you get that poor black kid who is
just gonna be
getting straight A's,
fill your roster. He's gonna take you to the top,
and he may just do that. She may just do that.
Yeah.
And that's great, giving that kid that opportunity, trying to break through those barriers of poverty and systematic fucking structural racism. Those are good things, but you don't actually do that by elevating one kid out of a class of fucking 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
All you do is elevate to power
the people best who meet these
standards
scholastic
anyway.
criteria.
Yeah.
And I mean, where does that get anybody else? What society? What society are we living in? Do we end structural racism? No. Do we end? We're not ending poverty, obviously.
Yeah.
You're just elevating and representing more people with more backgrounds in leadership.
I sense your hostility, but I feel like he's still going to get to that point, though, where we learned that 3 billion kids are going to benefit from this. 3 billion with a B. We're going to get to that point in the article.
Okay, yeah, I'm waiting for it.
Think of the gifts they could create in the future.
Exactly. They could be... I said the next Einstein. I meant the next Jeff. You know?
Yeah, they're going to do this for more than half of the children alive, right? Like on planet Earth, because it seems great.
Yeah, well, it's trickle down gift.
No, you are exactly right. You are exactly right. That's what this builds. This builds. We elevate one, and can't we just tokenize that?
Yeah.
And say we did it.
Yeah.
And that's the fucking problem.
That's it.
Of course, you
what
didn't
about
do shit.
What about the kids just slightly less achieving than them? And then, what about everyone down in the middle of the curve? And, God forbid, what about the dumb shits?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, no, really.
I'd like, what are you doing about the dumb shits? Does not everyone... Do we not want... I would like to live in a society where every human being, based on their being a human being, can live a dignified life.
Completely agree.
Even if they are just incredibly stupid and even if they are mostly useless to society, which I think is not actually a lot of people. I think we make a lot of people useless to society with the system.
I agree with that.
But
sure.
I'm saying, like, even if once we dole out all the opportunity equally and we support people with a base of living standard, even if there's still some shiftless, stupid fucking, like, cousins and uncles, you know, just absolute ne'er-do-wells, even with just every opportunity given to them. I'm saying you're just gonna have to eat that, and that's okay. And they're still fucking human beings.
Right.
I think that's like an infinitesimally small number of people in a just society. Which, of course, like the right wing and liberal view is that that's like a huge portion of society
that we must
address. They're all stupid and shiftless and will and
have no personal responsibility.
And milk society for whatever the given, but should really be in prison. Yeah. No, I think this is
keep going,
it's good. It's good. I have something about this dumb shit idea.
Yeah.
That just came to me today in an organic phone conversation I had with one of my friends who works for the world's largest nonprofit, the DoD. And I had a chat with him today about numbers. He knows where I sit politically. Yeah. I've known him since grade school. He knows where I sit politically, and he gets it. He's like the ultimate, like, actual, like, line splitting lib of all of them, right? Because he gets how, like, that basic liberal mentality is stupid, and he respects how, like, he really does respect where I stand. But he knows there's no fucking money in it. You know, like that kind?
Yeah.
It's like the Republican in between the left and the liberal. Yeah. Where he's like, but you could still make cash. Have you thought about that? And you're like, no, I've never thought about that. Like, tell me about this new thing. Anyway, I was chatting with him today. When you said about the quote-unquote the dumb shit, apparently the DOD's thought process in this is that if you can just keep at least half of them not obese, the military will be fine. I literally heard about this for the first time in my life today, which is only why I said that is the DOD's biggest problem right now, is that the quote-unquote dumb shits,
their main
real goal,
poor, like, just
is unfortunately they're sitting around playing Call of Duty and getting too chubby to be able to run, to be in the military. That's why I was like trying to I wasn't trying to stop you.
That's
it was like,
so funny.
Holy fuck, something that happened to me today in an organic conversation. Wow. I literally, like, the kind of comfortable conversation where I literally took a piss while I was on the phone with him. Anyway, that kind of conversation, you know, he divulged this to me. The DOD's main concern with the quote-unquote dumb shits is just please keep them under, like, a certain weight so they can run. How fucking insane is a like.
Yeah, that's
so
unbelievable.
You have the token person, right? That the liberal goes, look, we did it. And you literally have this thing that, by the way, pays for the liberal and the Republican side. This whole military-industrial complex going, we don't give a fuck about the dumb shits. That's fine. Our concern is, can they just stop eating Cheetos? Like, that is the point that we're... Or the limit.
Right,
Yeah.
Right.
So, sorry, that's why you kept looking at me going, he has something to say. That's why, because when you were like, what do we do with the dumb shits? I learned that today. Apparently, we just have to keep them fit.
Oh, we're set then. We elevate the smartest, and we just keep enough of the dumb shits in shape to perpetuate the empire. Were we reading an article at some point?
Sorry, I take blame on that, too.
No,
not at all. Not at all.
No. That's
The other insidious thing about this that we didn't even get to is that they will be funneled through tech companies, local tech companies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is absurd. I mean, there's so many other places people can work, and STEM and tech jobs are not...
But innovative places?
Well, I won't say anything about that. But
Customer delight.
Yeah.
there are other companies with means that would be happy to have them. So Durkin says, we all benefit when Seattle kids get the opportunity to be world-class workers.
Oh.
Isn't that what you all dreamed of?
World.
I remember growing up in Bothell, looking up in the sky, watching the sunset in summer and going, one day, I'm going to be a world-class worker.
One day we're going to have a Republican mayor named Jenny.
Who runs as a Democrat.
A world-class worker. Meaning, but that, I mean, like, it just sounds awful, but if you parse that, what you're saying, what she's literally actually trying to say is, world-class as in can compete on the global market for labor.
Yeah.
That's what we all deserve, is a worker who can compete with everyone else in a capitalist free market
to sell their labor.
And isn't...
Fuck off.
Right?
Fuck off.
And didn't Amazon decide not to do an HQ2 anywhere and stay in Seattle? Isn't it weird how she wants to perpetuate, like... And didn't she run against someone who was like, if Amazon left, like, that'd be fucking cool, we're okay? Weird how all this is... None of this is linked. You're a communist if you think this is linked.
Well, as we were talking about last week...
No, smiles.
Delight. There are employers and there are employees. There are only two kinds of people in this world.
Yeah.
And we've
job
proven,
creators, job takers.
We've proven with Gates, with Bezos, I mean, let's just throw Paul Allen in there too. Or how about Howard Schultz? That we have world-class employers. So now we just need to prove we have world-class employees, I think.
Yeah. So we can become a world-class city.
You solved it. The Ouroboros has finally been linked. It's critical that we not only provide access to free college, but we also...
Whoa, yeah, hell yeah.
But we also build...
For everyone, right?
Well, that's
Says
not really
Says that?
discussed here.
Is that like in brackets or parenthetical?
That's what you would assume if you heard that
Yeah,
sentence.
exactly. That's the point. Like, but they didn't specify.
No.
I didn't hear you say open parenthetical for everyone, closed parenthetical. I heard you say free college.
Right. But we also build a pathway to the good-paying jobs of the future.
But the context is for the small number of kids who deserve it, who merit our support and those opportunities.
Yeah. They have to earn it.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll bootstrap themselves.
Seattle's new program is a step in the right direction. Due to economic limitations, many students lack access to traditional internships, which may require quitting a job or moving to another state.
Wait, what does that say? Economic what?
Economic limitations.
Due to economic limitations. Due to poverty.
No, economic limitations.
Oh, due to pandemic poverty.
Due to capitalist society. This current system perpetuates racial and economic disparities.
True.
By positioning internships as a privilege for some students, rather than as a critical stepping stone for all as they move from college to professional employment.
So, they're right about the fact that, yes, because of pandemic poverty, and that but the fact that there is like a small class of wealthy kids who are connected to get them in the first place, and then can, move to another town and work for free or for low pay because they're supported by their parents. They can show up in a little suit that they wore to high school, and they can do the internship interview, and then they can get supported by their parents while they do this the opening gambit of their grand career in high finance or whatever. That's the first part of that is true. And then, what was the next sentence? The
current system perpetuates racial and economic disparities.
Yeah, absolutely true.
This is my favorite part. By positioning internships as a privilege for some students rather than as a critical stepping stone. So he's essentially advocating for free
universal
Yeah.
internships, right? So, yes, right now it's only available to the upper crust. But what's needed is for everyone to have access to internships, to unpaid labor as a necessary stepping stone between your insanely expensive degree and a real career.
Right, exactly.
And, again, they're using this language of opening up opportunity, but we're still, even in this context, only talking about the small few poor kids who deserve it.
Yeah.
No concept of everyone needs opportunity, but look, the rich kids are getting the opportunity. We need to extend opportunity to the small number of poor people who aren't dumb.
Yeah, who perform like rich kids.
Have you ever, well, you know how all three of us, we chatted about this earlier in the hot tub. We're worried that we don't have enough access to free labor.
Yeah.
And if we could just make that pool bigger, right? That'd be great. That seems like they've found a way to solve.
They've cracked it.
All of our. We weren't in a hot tub earlier.
Yes.
It's kind of a. I don't know if you guys.
That comes next.
I'm trying to do punch up. It's not working. You guys can fire me.
I'm just a built-in punch down. I just suck Until initiatives like Opportunity Promise become more widespread, business leaders will shoulder the responsibility of narrowing this internship inequality gap. This is more like lionizing of the employers.
That is what that. I mean, he's just instinctually, in the most magnanimous way possible, saying they won't do this. That's just saying.
He's saying government has failed us. It is only out of the goodness of the employer's heart that we can make.
But he's saying ultimately they won't do it.
Well,
so
he's saying
they will shoulder the burden because no one else is, but that's not going to happen.
Right.
That's his way of saying.
Theoretically, they could.
Theoretically, they could. The truth of what he means is that isn't going to happen. So, but the way he says it is they'll shoulder the burden.
They'll carry the load.
Oh, that is. Oh my God. This is Forbes.
This is the intersection of strategy and leadership? Is that what it was? I don't know.
Yeah, he's written about it extensively.
We're right there.
I think we...
That's his beat in Forbes magazine. Figuring out where leadership and strategy intersect.
What's this guy's name?
I have a feeling the answer is board games.
Jason Wingard.
Dude, if you've ever been in a bar and picked somebody up because you literally told them you picked them up because you said you read about intersectionality, fuck off. This guy is the worst. You know he's done that.
Oh, probably.
Oh, wow.
He's done that.
Wow.
He's done that.
Okay, that's a strategy I should try.
Technically, he's not lying, but also I hope his dick explodes. Anyway, continue.
Oh,
not
man.
in a good way.
Okay, so in doing so, they will access a wider pool of talent and a diverse array of skills that will undoubtedly strengthen their team.
Because poor people have a different skill set. This is true. They're not.
Speaking of scrappy, I mean.
Yeah, they have a realistic view of the world. They're not pampered little shits who haven't ever wiped their own ass.
they're not entitled and think that everything they generate is like gold medal
Is a
status.
gift
Like, yeah,
to
is a
society.
gift to society. Yeah.
So
They're desperate for your approval because they need it to survive, not because of their like the state of their ego.
well, and they've been nagged by society at large for 18 years of their life,
Yeah.
and then finally given some, the hey, you've made it. You're ready for the majors.
Yeah.
We're gonna win that championship. One strategy is offering micro-internships, which allows students to work remotely on short-term projects while continuing to take courses, live in student housing, and hold other jobs.
So it's Mechanical Turk.
Well,
It's a crowdsourcing, like,
maybe.
Did they find a way to get kids to enter the professional world before they graduate?
Yeah. Yeah, they technically have
shit.
amateur status right here, so
oh my god. Oh my god. All right.
So
Come on.
yeah, let's learn.
Explain this.
What are micro-internships? While internships have existed for decades, that's a hyperlink, by the way, in case
Do not
you
click
wanted
that.
to follow
Do not
that.
click. What's
Oh
an
my god,
internship?
you click that, it's gonna be arms and assholes. You don't do it. Don't do it. I know how Forbes gets their money.
It's going to be
Don't do
ghosting,
that.
man. Innovative program types have begun to emerge. Virtual internships are increasingly popular. The University of Michigan's College of Literature, Science, and the Arts, for example, connects students with global virtual internships in companies around the world. And even the federal government hires virtual interns in many bureaus. Wow.
What do these virtual interns do?
Where micro-internships differ is in their execution, according to Parker Dewey, the organization that pioneered the concept. Micro-internships are short-term, paid, professional assignments that are similar to those given to new hires or interns, it explains. They usually consist of 5 to 40 hours of work and can occur any time of year. They are highly specific, project-based positions, often in arenas like lead generation, content creation, or data entry. Students receive a fixed fee, typically equating to $15 to $25 per hour,
Well, that's not too bad.
and are given between 1 week and 1 month to complete their project.
So it's literally just a Mechanical Turk for college kids. Like, with the imprimatur of the state. Like, so Mechanical Turk is Amazon's massive crowdsourcing platform, but there's tons like this where it's
Well, yeah, or like Fiverr.
writing, like, quick, shitty articles for content for SEO or something, or, like, just fucking data entry.
It's tricking people into doing those jobs that probably thought they were too good to do them in the first place.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because, again, we're talking about the upper crust. We're
Yeah.
talking about the high performers, these, like, people getting, like, these liberal arts degrees.
Right.
Rather than just the tech
STEM.
nerds,
Yeah.
the STEM kids. This is a way to get the liberal arts kids with, like, who are getting degrees in, like, literature and the social sciences to, like, put in articles for, like, shitty websites.
To hone their craft.
Yeah. Without any, benefits or, any kind of...
Oh,
just a fee,
Here's the deal. We all know that Maya Angelou could have benefited from taking a little time out from her genius to just pen some shitty articles, all right, for some fucking cash, all right? We're paying
Hell
her.
yeah.
Just maybe set her straight for the future. That she will never write something meaningful. Like, I know I took that. That's a big leap I took.
No.
But the point is, it seems like they're trying to, it's like almost like a catch-all. Like, how do we catch these assholes that are going to think for themselves forever?
Yeah.
We got to stomp it out. That's ridiculous.
We need to
can't
get
let
them
this go.
while they're still available to
for
us.
$25 an hour.
Yeah.
That also, I mean, that they said it's a flat fee, right?
Yeah.
So
well, it's just,
they're saying, which usually equates to 15. That sounds like that's completely subjective and could mean anything. So it's really, it depends on how fast you complete the task.
Maybe.
Which is going to be a totally subjective thing, which means it probably could end up being a lot worse than that in reality.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I think that is pretty awful, actually, about this is that doing that kind of work in no way is providing a benefit that an actual internship might provide, which is like being on site and being part of a group. You're a remote worker doing a menial
like
task.
A very segmented, like
you're probably
narrow task,
not interacting with anybody. And then the whole premise of this article is that the people that will be doing this are people that can't get internships. So again, it's just like we're pushing these people towards
ghettoizing.
Yeah, exactly.
A new internship ghetto that
people,
is just mechanical turk.
Yeah, you thought you made it, but fuck you. Like, you're gonna go do University 5 or
well,
whatever.
I take back everything I said. Thank God this is only for the few who deserve it.
Oh, man. So, let's just finish this section out.
I need a shower.
Yeah, no, this one hurts.
I feel dirty, and I don't believe in any of the things that they're going for, and I feel dirty hearing it.
Yeah, it's awful. In its first few years, Parker Dewey claims it has helped. Where have we heard this before? More than 1,000 students complete micro-internships at companies such as Microsoft, CBRE, Dell, Leo Burnett, and Barilla. Perhaps inspired by the organization, Northeastern University has recently introduced a similar program called the Experiential Network. That sounds like some kind of Gen X, like, virtual reality.
That sounds like Cronenberg.
Yeah,
shit.
exactly. Yeah. It's like Existence or something. Anyway, which arranges virtual 6-week projects for its students. Research and practice have identified 3 ways this trend can benefit both employers and students. And then it goes on to, like, make horrific things that I don't think we should delve into because this is killing us.
Few thousand students?
Yes.
So they
more than 1,000.
helped them complete
not
internships.
Only helped, but there's I just did quick Googling. So there's 25,067 students in Washington right now. But that's over a couple years. Yeah. So we could couple. I say I've been married a couple times or a bunch of times. The number changes, right? Because like what you mean. So couple could mean what? That's 50,000 or 75,000. They've helped a couple thousand of this. Helped. We're not even specific here. What is that? What is that percentage?
Well,
placed them in gig work.
Yeah. So the ways that the believers, those people living in the intersection of strategy and leadership, believe that it can help democratize the college to career transition. I think we just completely cut through that bullshit argument.
Yeah, we laid that to rest.
0.05%. Sorry.
Wow.
I had to know.
It's working.
They're helping so many people.
Stop the math.
And
more math.
Here's the bingo. Create a more diverse talent pool.
That's the nut of the meritocracy myth, right? Is this... If you can just represent, if you democratize opportunity in that, you circumvent the structural, like, limitations of poverty, racism, etc. by picking the most talented, the smartest people from those pools, you will then have represented in the leadership of the world, in politics, in business, and whatever, you will have people of many races and backgrounds. That's liberal meritocracy. But again... What the fuck about everyone else? Does that stop our like young black men's not being killed by police in that scenario? No. Guess what? They still are. Right. Because that's what we have now.
Yeah.
Are people not poor of every possible like race and background in America? No. This is bullshit.
But
so
you as an employer
fall for it.
Can feel great.
Yeah, because you can show, look, on our leadership team, we have 3 women and one black man, and so we have solved society. We fixed it.
Yeah, we did it.
Yay! So
looks like we made it. That's the quote from Jenny Durkin in the article.
Look how far we've come, my baby. So the third thing is, this one's for all the people at the intersection who've made it this far. They're saying, you know what, this sounds pretty good. Reduce HR cost and attrition. So I'm just
wait, but by not hiring anyone in the first place.
Yeah. So I just want to read the first.
Fixed it. We fixed the glitch.
We just go around it. So I just want to read the first paragraph of this section because it's funny. Traditional internship programs can be an expensive investment. One full-time $12 per hour intern for 10 weeks equates to $4,800 in payroll, along with the need for workspace, housing or transportation,
the need for workspace,
and personnel to hire and manage them.
The need for what the fuck? The need for work. The person you are getting to work for. The educated, college educated,
bring your own
degree
workspace,
imminent,
that
you're getting to work for a stipend that they're calling $12 an hour. The need for workspace. Oh man, but when you have employees to make you money, when you have people doing labor to make you money, not only do you have to pay them,
God, that shit sucks. I hate
but
that.
you have to pay people to pay them.
Oh.
If you want to build things in a factory, get this.
No.
You have to have a factory.
Oh, God damn it.
Shut the fuck up. Oh, my God.
Well, so here's...
What is that? How do you even,
Here's the mic drop that I didn't even read before. So, Jason Wingard is the Dean and Professor of the School of Professional Studies at Columbia University.
Professional studies! He's an intersectional professional studies professor.
That's what he goes on to say. With an academic focus in the areas of
studying
the
intersectional oppression of...
Jason Wingard.
Jason Wingard, why won't you debate me? Jason Wingard, let's do this. Literally debate any one of the three of us.
Why won't you? I'm out of that.
I'm into it. I'm into it.
I like this, though. There's a challenge.
Yeah, 100%.
The gauntlet.
100%. Don't you know you can just be anyone and debate somebody just with this
you can on Twitter.
verbal challenge.
True.
I will obviously be spamming this episode to his Twitter if he has one.
Oh my God, I will give that press as well. Let's do this. I want to debate this man. If nothing else, I will metaphorically throat punch him.
Yeah, I don't want to debate him. I just want to call him a dumb idiot, an asshole on my podcast.
Absolute fuckface.
Yeah, this is real bad.
Oh
Thanks,
my God.
Thanks, Mayor Jenny. Thank you.
Yeah, wait, just go back to the top and read her quote again at the top of this article.
All right. Okay, so let me
Not
find
my
it.
mayor.
Hashtag not my mayor. We all benefit when Seattle kids get the opportunity to be world-class workers.
Oh!
Because we know world-class work is doing fucking temp gig jobs.
Yeah.
But this is but this is the pathway to that. You gotta pay your dues. All you gotta do is you've gotta work your ass off to get straight A's and a scholarship and the backing of your counselors and administrators in your poor performing school to get into a good school. You need to be one of the 3 kids who get this scholarship to just 2 years of your college.
Yeah.
Then you need to complete that degree, incurring debt on the other 2 years. Mm-hmm. You need to do these internships that are just junk work, piecemeal fucking gig work creating nonsense for the internet, or just entering data. That is going to put you on a path to, I assume, getting your graduate degree and for more debt, and then if you're lucky, getting into one of these tech companies, only to be fired at some point. I assume. I don't know. Or more importantly, to succeed and be one of the tiny few who do.
The three of us were talking about this earlier when Jones was driving us around in the Benz, if you remember. Our biggest problem was we were like, college football has it nailed. They literally have a minor league system that makes billions.
Yep.
They have a labor force that don't get paid, and we get to vet them. And I remember you made your money in steel, if I'm correct.
Yeah,
You made your money in diamonds.
Yes.
I made my money in glitter, because let's be honest, I'm fantastic. And the point is that we were all wondering if there was only a way to vet just poor, starving, potential. Let's give let's not get anyone hopes up, okay? Like, potential workforce. How could they vet for us while they're still in college?
Yeah.
If only we could manipulate a system the way fucking college football has. It's so brilliant, you know, with their no union and their
no rights to their own likeness.
Yeah, and the brain injuries that will cause them to shoot themselves in the chest.
I'm only not laughing because this bit is more insightful than it is funny, and now I'm taken up in that.
And that's my point, though. Like, I am for hire. I do work that's comedy that is so insightful. It actually stops Greg. He literally loses himself in the bit.
Hey, that is a skill.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, that's my point. Like, they're literally like, how do we do this? Yeah. They're fucking people so hard with such hard dicks. How do we do it? How do we do it? Literally, if there were only a fucking mayor out there that would give us fucking stupid ass quotes. Like, who's dumb enough? No one's dumb enough.
But like,
it
Jenny
really
was
like,
about.
I am.
It really is about all this meritocracy bullshit. Is just about vetting from the pool that has no other, from the massive labor pool of America, most of whom have no, like, intrinsic opportunity. It's just vetting. We need some grist for the mill. We need cogs in the machine, and our capitalist structure isn't sustainable if a few of them don't come from this, like, the unwashed masses. But we need elaborate systems to vet those people, to get the right ones, the ones who aren't complete dumb shits. And we don't have the social structures to do that, so we need to invent these complicated.
We also don't want the social structure.
No. That's the point.
And they can pass all this off by a simple phrase that they'll all say, and that is that they only made these decisions to mitigate risk. We mitigated risk.
Yeah.
We were no longer taking a risk on someone who might not pan out. Everyone just wants to take the risk on the thing that, well, that was a sure thing, and now we got them to prove it for fucking peanuts.
Yeah.
Like, and that's how they'll sell it. Like, at their trials, they should all be on trial, by the way. But at their trials, they'll all say shit. Like,
I was just mitigating risk.
That's the Seattle defense.
That's their fucking get-off. I was mitigating risk, y'all. Like, it's fine. Like, that's all I was doing. We saw risk. We were, too much. We were losing too much money. That's it. It's so fucking gross.
Yeah.
I love this. I love this. When the revolution comes,
when the trials come,
we try them all here in Seattle at the spiritual home of managerial liberalism. That'll be the defense that you study in law school for years. The
mitigating risk.
The Seattle defense is I was just mitigating risk. Yeah, that rules. That we've arrived at a new synthesis here. I think today. I think we have gone beyond generating content for the internet. We have achieved synthesis.
Yeah, my third eye is open in the third place.
Yeah.
I can see clearly.
All right, what's your drink, though? What's your order? Oh my God! Well, this has been absolutely repulsive. Thank you, Justin Williams, for coming on. We appreciate you being here on the boat.
Yeah, thank you so
thanks
much.
for listening, everybody, to this entitled tech bro that you despise, prattle on with us, with the other tech bro, Colin.
Don't out me, Greg.
What else
was there anything that you wanted to plug? Or?
I do like to take the opportunity when a microphone is in front of me to talk about just one thing real briefly. I know how to do this real concisely, and that is that being a native Michigander, I run into a lot of people who ask me about Detroit. And I'd just like to drop a few things, and it's astounding to me how many people don't know anything about Detroit other than the horrible, like the porn side of Detroit, which is the dilapidation porn.
Yeah.
They're just like, look at all this empty shit. Detroit. It's 2019. Detroit has around 700,000 people. Seattle has around the same. Detroit still has a higher population density. I want to start with that. I want to start with the fact that there's still fucking people there.
Yeah.
And the number one thing I'd like to say about Detroit, because I feel like Seattle has a relationship with Detroit it doesn't know. And that is that Seattle's been the fastest growing city like once or twice.
Yeah.
Detroit was the fastest growing city on planet Earth for 40 straight years.
Fuck.
Here's the deal, real quick, just a real quick history because I'm sick of this knowledge not being out there. Jobs are colorblind. Like, absolutely jobs are colorblind when there's demand.
Yeah.
The automotive industry blew up so much that even prior to the civil rights movement, Detroit hired so many people that it built something that the world hadn't seen, America hadn't seen, and that's a black middle class.
Yeah, wow.
That black middle class gave us things like Motown.
Yeah.
They gave us things like industries, bars, restaurants, things that were owned. You know, by this community that hadn't achieved this. There's only one other community, honestly, that did, and that was Watts. And there's a similarity I'm going to get to here in a second. And the idea is what happens when that actually comes home to roost, and you realize how systemic racism is that Detroit is the way it is today because white people could not handle a black middle class. And I hate the bullshit that spreads about, you know, the biggest city in my home state is that, oh, there's a lot of factors, you guys. It's economics, and a little bit of it was racial. It was all racial. You never had a black middle class anywhere in this country until Detroit came along. A full, strong black middle class. It destroyed real estate because white people all of a sudden did not want to live next to somebody that didn't look like them. You had the police cracking down on black businesses all the fucking time. They had enough. And in 1967, they had enough. And even the Catherine Bigelow documentary, the movie she made doesn't even cover this. You pushed a city to its brink between black and white where it literally ripped itself apart and now is actually deemed on a United Nations level like unfixable at this point. That's how strong racism is in this country. That's how it hasn't gone away in this country. And moving, the biggest thing I will say, and one of the biggest things I wanted to come on Seattle Sucks for, is because the biggest reason I think Seattle sucks, having lived here 12 years, is that it's a bubble to that this whole thing even happened. Yeah. Or that this world exists outside of itself. You had a beautiful gem of a city ripped apart simply because white people could not handle black people making fucking money. That exists out here, and it ripped a city apart, and it's still feeling it today. Its population density is still higher than Seattle's, by the way. We all know how crowded we are. That's all I wanted to say. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for that heartfelt proclamation.
Didn't Charles write something about how Seattle was like Detroit?
Well, it was a comparison of how he didn't get into that part of it in that, but it was how that's the only option that the sort of liberal tech
the false
thing
dichotomy.
is like, well, you can be a failing dead city like Detroit, which is what, or you can be a growing perfect city like Seattle.
Yeah.
And, you know, the bullshit of all that.
May I for a second?
Yeah.
This is not to put anybody on the spot, and in fact, I won't even pull you two. I just want all the listeners, close your eyes at this point. Picture the biggest, the highest percentage of African American population you can think of in a city. The answers that usually come out are Atlanta, they're St. Louis. Atlanta, 50%. St. Louis, 49%. Detroit's at 84% and has been for a long time. That's another one of those just, not so fun facts, and I don't mean not so fun facts because it's not a positive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's one of those things that people just don't understand, especially Seattle. So for someone to compare the two, what's Seattle? 4%?
Yeah, it's really low.
So, even that general idea You know, and it's just one of those things that I'm very passionate about, because the very public destruction of Detroit, as many factors as people want to blame it on, they cannot lie about this. It was about race from the beginning, and it's about race now, and it's sad. It's sad to see. So,
yeah, I mean, well, you can see that in the way that whatever problems outside of that it did have, you know, might have been like solved in another city by the states, by the federal government, and that whole area of Michigan has just been left to fall apart just disintegrate.
Yep.
You know,
and
our collective structural racism is just our institutional racism, just waiting for all those people to just dissipate or die and dissolve that center of black power.
Let's say global capitalism hadn't allowed for jobs to move overseas.
Yeah.
It still would have exploded. It still would have ripped itself apart.
They'd have moved just around the country if they couldn't do anything else.
And the idea, you know, and that's the thing, the automotive industry was colorblind, at least in that one way. It grew so fucking fast that it didn't care.
Didn't have a choice.
Exactly. It did not, it needed people. Bodies here doing this. And when that boom broke, all you're left with is a city of, you know, just all of that racial tension blown up, and that white people are the worst. I'm sorry.
Well, that's a happy note to end on.
We always love to do that, don't we?
Yeah.
We do have a shout out. So.
Yeah.
Should we direct people to your Twitter?
Yeah.
I have 52 followers, but you know what?
Get ready to have 4 more.
Yes!
You're gonna get the Seattle Sucks bump.
Yeah!
Let's make it 60, everybody.
Yeah, I've had a really stupid nickname that stuck with me since 3rd grade, because no one could pronounce Justin in 3rd grade. They all called me Justin. So it's Justin, but as like the squeezed fruit juice tin tweets.
Yeah.
So Justin tweets.
Go follow him, please. We'll make a link to that in our show notes as well, so that people.
Because you are kind of extremely online.
I am kind of extremely online.
You have spurts. You have spurts of
I have not had a job in a long time.
Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, that makes sense.
And I will tweet at blue check marks until they retweet me, just to get me to shut the fuck up.
I like it.
Yeah.
We need more like you.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Warriors.
You're a brave man. We got one new patron on Patreon. Yeah, so we want to do a shout out to Eric Arvidsson.
Hell yeah.
Who also sent us a extremely funny little message asking when he was going to be connected with services. And there was a drone with like an AR-15, holding an AR-15. So don't worry, Eric. Just sleep with one eye open.
It's on the way.
They're coming for you.
The package is on the way.
I've heard, by the way, Eric, amazing kisser.
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah, me too. It's all over Twitter.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you,
Eric. If you want to be like Eric,
and you do want to be like Eric,
you want to give us money. That's the main thing. Just give us money.
Yeah,
money.
you heard Greg. Come on.
No, it's not a sob story. It's because we're cool.
Oh, right.
It's not because we need money. Yeah. We don't need your money. You want to give it to us because you like us. And we're cool. So, we have a Patreon, is what we're getting at.
Yeah.
So, give us money. The price, the suggested donation is the price of a
current
Starbucks tall latte at your local Starbucks. Mm-hmm. Current market price, like lobster.
Yeah. Highly variable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can find us on Twitter, Seattle Sucks Pod. And you can email us at seattlesuckspodcast@gmail.com. And you can find our show pretty much anywhere now at this point.
Yeah, subscribe, rate, whatever, star.
Yeah.
Thumbs up, jerk off hands, I don't know.
Yeah, and send us stuff that you find because, I mean, we've said it before, we're not always extremely online. We miss things. We also...
hat tip to Brian for sending us that Fast Company article. We forgot to mention that.
Yep, thank you very much.
Brian Platt.
I or a Y.
Friend up It's an I. I.
Just checking. Just checking.
Brian Platt, friend of the show,
Yes.
a multi-time guest, drinking buddy of mine.
Police aficionado.
Police aficionado, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm excited or sad.
Oh, you're excited.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're
you are
super, you haven't gotten to those
Good.
episodes yet, but you're excited.
I'm going back through the catalog,
Yeah.
guys.
No,
I'm
that's
catching up.
Good.
I'm
good.
catching up. I'm too online.
Yeah,
It's all right.
Stay there.
No, we know it's hard. Yeah, and I want to shout out Ian Edwards as well for sending us a piece that we haven't talked about yet, but we might talk about soon. So, yeah, if you have things you want to talk about, send them our way. Or you want us to talk about, send them our way. We'll do our best to cover them.
We'll do our
We
best
appreciate
to read the email.
Well, we
Like,
will
we'll-
use
to check.
a local college student who only was there by the grace of the liberal establishment to
We'll use like
read the article for us,
a
summarize
little black
it.
girl who grew up in
Yeah.
poverty, who has got straight A's, and is just and to get ahead in the world is reduced to like doing our data entry.
Yeah, and who's
That's
at
it.
least like 2 standard deviations above
More
our
intelligent
IQ.
than us. Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, thanks for
At-
looking.
As their attorney, they're just mitigating risk.
yeah. All right.
Yeah, thanks again.
It was just mitigating risk.
Mein Führer. We can mitigate risk. Thanks again, Justin, and